Alright, normally I like to alternate my video projects, and however, this one is getting really close to getting done, so I want to kind of focus on this thing more and like get this project done, um, so that I can move on and focus on other stuff a little bit better. So this one's getting really close. I've got had to go in and fill a few areas a little bit better, so I need to reprime that. I added that piece in here that broke earlier, so I'll need to sand that better and fill and prime there. And also, I screwed up, not bad, a little bit. Uh, the piece that holds that door on, when I glued it, it shifted like crooked a little bit. So when I shut the doors, there was a gap. So I glued in a scrap piece of styrene here. So I now need to sand those back so they'll set flush, and then fill and paint that. But this is coming along. Of course, that goes down. Those close down. Of course, I got to work that better. But it's coming along. I got a little tunnel over the hole there, so that covered that up nicely. That looks much better. So I'm at the point now to where I think I want to make the canopy. My original thought was to like vacuum form or heat up and stretch a piece of plastic over a buck, which is what I have here. And I have tried that before. And usually, you know, some clear plastics, when you heat them up, they get all like bendy and like will stretch form around, or they'll vacuum form around. Other clear plastics will shrink. When you heat them up, they just shrink. And what I've tried in the past was like a 2-liter soda bottle. I thought that'd be a good source of plastic. And I would heat it up and tried to pull it over a form, and that kind of plastic actually shrinks. So it's horrible for vacuum forming or stretch forming or something like that. So I was thinking, well, can't use soda bottles. But I saw this guy on YouTube, and this was, man, probably a year ago. I really don't remember who it was. If you know who I'm talking about, let me know, because I'd love to give him the credit for it. But he had the genius idea. You know, I don't know if his idea. I mean, he could have copied it from somebody else. You know, just because he was the first one I saw do it doesn't mean it was his idea. Because he could have copied it from somebody else. But I don't want to take credit for it because it was not my idea. Unfortunately, I feel stupid for not thinking about it. But he put the buck inside the bottle and then put a heat gun to it, and it shrank around it. Then he just cut it out and worked out pretty well. Obviously, this is a little bit small for a 2-liter bottle. So I got a couple of bottles I want to try. Now, when he did his, he tried a Coke bottle, Pepsi bottle. For him, the Pepsi bottles worked better. They had less blemishes on them for some odd reason. So I got this one. It's just wet because I rinsed it out. So I got a Pepsi bottle. Think I'll try that. That's about the right size, I think. And I got a Naked juice bottle. And this is a little bit thicker plastic. There's more ridges and features and stuff, so we'll see how well that stretches or pulls out. But one other thing I'm kind of concerned about is that this is plastic, obviously, and when I put a heat gun on it, it's a possibility that this could distort from the heat. So maybe I'll try the thinner bottle first so I don't have to use as much heat. And if this survives after that, then I'll try this one and see which one comes out better. Now I need to smooth that out first, so I will be sanding that and filling it and priming it. And then I'll probably go over it with some aluminum tape or aluminum foil or something like that, just to kind of help protect it from the heat, maybe a little bit better. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. So let me get this smoothed up and ready, and then we'll come back and see what happens when we put this in the bottle and put a heat gun to it. Anyway, I had a little bit of a change of heart with how I wanted to do the canopy. My original thought, and I still am, I'm going to stick it in a soda bottle and heat that up and shrink it down. And I'll do that here in just a few minutes. But my original thought was to cover that with aluminum foil because I was afraid the heat from the heat gun would destroy that, melt it, and squish it. And I decided not to do that because Well, for one, I really don't think the foil would help that much. And for two, I don't have any foil and I don't feel like going out and getting any. So I decided for once to do this the right way and make a mold out of this and cast it in resin and then heat form around the resin piece. And if I destroy that, I still have a mold and I can make another one. Now, I did a really quick, dirty, not normal mold. This is clear RTV silicon and baking soda. And I saw this on a YouTube video years ago, and I don't know who I saw do this. Probably a few people have done that. But if you take clear silicon and you mix it with baking soda, and again, this was long enough ago, I don't even remember if it's baking soda or baking powder. I'm pretty sure it's baking soda. But if you mix them together, it will make the silicon set off a lot quicker. Now, I didn't have a whole lot of baking soda left. I had like maybe a quarter of a box, and I mixed that with a whole tube of silicon. And I basically had that double stick taped down to a plastic board. I put release agent on it, and I just squished the silicone all over it, put a few pieces of wood on it to kind of squish it into a box shape, and just let it set up. And it took a few days. You know, it still felt squishy after a couple of days, so I don't think I had enough baking soda. But it eventually did set up, and I was able to pull that out of there. And I'll now just mix up some fiberglass resin, and I'll put some chopped strands in there just because it seems wrong not to, I guess. I don't know. It's not a perfect, there's like a little bubble here, obviously that here, but any imperfection or bubble can easily be sanded back off, so I'm not too concerned about that. This isn't technically the best way to make a mold, just because it was really thick, and that's why, you know, I have a few little imperfections. But I think it looks pretty good, you know. It definitely could have been worse, that's for sure. So I think it looks pretty good. So let me mix up some resin and pour that in here and get that set and pop it out and see how that looks. I used this stuff. It's the kind of stuff you get at your automotive shop. It's not technically really meant for heavy pours like this, for molding or casting things. I don't know why. It's just not not what people use. I mean, it gets hot when it goes off. You know, it's. I put it outside and monitored the temperature. It comes out. It actually came out surprisingly easy, and it's kind of slimy from the mold release agent that I used. This stuff. This is actually a mold release agent. There's a better view. This stuff is probably 30 years old. This is sharp. I'm going to cut myself on that. So, get some of that mold release off of here. I need to use some alcohol or acetone or something to get it completely cleaned off. But not the best looking thing. There are some imperfections. Kind of a big one right in here. A little bit here. But nothing that a little bit of Bondo can't fix. So I need to sand this thing smooth, cover it with some Bondo, sand it, and then I should be ready to make the windscreen. So let me get it cleaned up, smoothed up, and let's see how that works, shrinking a bottle around it. Okay, after a layer of Bondo and some sanding and primer, I bet you can't tell which one is the printed one and which one is the casted one. You're wrong. This one is the casted one. Still kind of dusty from the Bondo, but that's the casted one. There's a little tiny divot there, but I really don't think that's going to show in the Canopy. Probably not. But since I'm not worried about it, it probably will, because that's just the way things work. but I think it came out pretty good. So I don't have to worry about the heat. Hopefully, I don't have to worry about the heat deforming it. Should be fine. So let's get set up. With, we'll do this bottle first. Now I want to glue this to some wood so it's pressed up in there. Maybe I'll do it that way. I don't know. I don't think it matters. So it presses up in there and that wood will fill in the gap. And then we'll get the heat gun on it and we'll see how it works. Alright, hopefully this is a good camera angle. I'm going to start at the back, get that around, and then I'll just work my way around and see what happens. I don't know why I do that. Of course it's hot. Might work. Okay, here is the first test fit of the first Canopy. As you can tell, it needs a little bit more trimming around here. It's a little bit oversized. But for a first try, I'm really kind of liking that. That really looks cool. I'm very pleased with how my first try turned out. It's actually straightish. But yeah, it just needs a little bit more fine tuning and trimming. Now the other bottle I had, that gray, that's just primer that came off of this. The heat kind of transferred the primer onto it. This is still in perfectly good shape. Didn't warp or anything like that. I know this one would not still be in the shape if I would have used that. I could guarantee it. For as hot as I got it, that would have just completely melted. So making the casting was definitely a good idea. The primer, probably not such a good idea. Yeah, that just made a mess inside of here. But acetone will take that right out. I had the same problem with that one, and I just wiped it out with acetone and it was good. But this one has a lot more deeper scratches and marks. Plus there's a weird bump in here. I think I got some debris on that when I shrank it down, so it's got some weird bumps on it. So this one's probably junk. Like I said, I need to go buy some more bottles, and I don't know, maybe I'll try Coke. This was a Pepsi bottle. I think that will just buff out. I think if I made about 10 more, I could probably get one closer to perfect. This one has a few little marks or blemishes. That was just the lines that was in the plastic bottle. I'm not too upset with those. They don't look, I don't know, maybe you think they look bad. But I'm not that upset over them. I think that's just a smudge. I think that'll clean off. I did polish it, so it does look better than it did, but you can still see there are some little minor blemishes. But that is ready to get bonded on there. I went ahead, I put the seats in, I put the instrument panels in. I did have to sand the edges of the instrument panels along here to get them to fit down in there. It didn't take too much, but those are now in. And again, as I said in a previous video, I'm going very minimalistic in the cockpit. I'm not adding a ton of detail. This is another Canopy attempt. This one just had too many marks. I tried sanding them out, and I probably could have, but by the time I got those out, they're deep enough. By the time I got them out, this would have been way too thin. So, like I said, I tried a few different canopies. This one is the best of the bunch. And you know, those little marks, those scuffs aren't bad. I mean, this is a trainer fighter jet thing that fights robots and other bad stuff. So a few scuffs on the canopy is to be expected, right? So to attach this, I've already told you guys many times what I use to attach clear parts, and that is one of these. This is it's a UV curable adhesive, and the nice thing about this is you can clean it off with alcohol. Alcohol won't harm any of this, and it won't set until you're ready for it to set. So you can really take your time with it and get it to work nicely. So what I'm going to do is start with these ends here and then work along the edges. I just use these to clean up any excess, and I also want to just mask off. Oh, and I did clean this canopy inside and out with Windex just to get rid of any smudges or fingerprints. And I'm just noticing, it looks like a little bit of a smudge there. All right, I think we're good there. So, like I said, I want to mask off the front and back edges just so I don't get any glue mess where I don't want it. All right, I think that'll work. And actually, I'm going to tape down the sides here so it won't shift. I think that's about where I want it. Oh, come on. So let me get some more right here. And hopefully this pen has some in it. Come on, there we go. But I'm just going over it, wiping it smooth. Now there is adhesive right in the seam. And we'll just go ahead and set that. Takes about 5 to 10 seconds. And it should be good. And we'll move to the front. The front, I think, is going to be a little bit trickier. I might just do the corners first. There's a little bit of a gap in there, but this should fill it. Yeah, I don't think I got the whole gap filled. looks better. It says 5 seconds to set. I found that after 5 seconds it still feels a little bit sticky, kind of. So I typically go way more than that. That should be good. We'll do the same over here. And what I'll do is when I mask it to paint it, I'll mask it to where this seam gets painted. And I think that might look like the frame of the window, maybe? That's kind of the plan anyways, I think. Alright, so as you can see, this is a little bit time consuming, not too bad. I'm just going slow because I don't want it to look like a mess. I want it to look halfway nice when it's done. You know, just a little bit nice. So I'm taking my time doing sections at a time. If they don't fit perfectly flush, you know, I'm just kind of putting them in, doing little bits at a time, making it fit. And that should be the front all ready to go. So now what I will do off camera, because again it's going to be the same process all the way around, I'll mask off and I'll just do maybe 1/2 inch at a time, just getting it worked in flush all the way around. And after that's done, then we will be ready to mask all of that off and get some color on this. So give me a few minutes and we'll be back ready for paint. Alright, so got it all taped up. Notice I left a stripe here for the frame that goes over the center part there. And that was just eyeballed from photos in a box. Oh, I got to, I'm gonna have to put some masking off under here so I don't overspray down into the gear well. So let me just cover up the landing gear here real quick. One other thing that I'll show you, probably isn't that big a deal, but the kit parts for the different nose sections are not consistent. Let me show you what I mean. Notice the panel lines going across the top here. If you look at the other part, the panel lines actually came out and back over that way. And this will get all covered with a semi-flat clear. So I don't know if the kit made a mistake or, you know, when this thing transforms, there's a shield. That shield kind of comes up over the canopy to protect the cockpit and the canopy. So maybe during the transformation, the panel lines change, you know, because things open and things move inside and things change. So maybe that is what it looks like. But it kind of looks like a mistake, maybe. I'm debating whether, because I could always mask that off to make the black here match the black there. That's no problem. I'm not going to change the panel lines in the CAD files, but I guess that's a problem for future me to figure out. For now, I'm just going to put a coat of primer on that. And once the primer sets, then I'll put a coat of the tan. So we'll get back with you once that's all painted up and unmasked. All right, so they did kind of make a mistake on the kit. Because when you look at the this version of it, you see that part where it's down this way, like that, which is how this one is. So that one's correct. That one was fine. But when you look at it in the jet version, it also has the same part in here. And in the kit, it just had that straight across there. So I'll mask it off and paint it like that. That's not that big of a deal. The paint's not fully cured yet, but I got the masking off. Let's take a look at it. All right, so like I said, it's not fully cured, but there's what we're looking like. And I am very pleased with that, even with the little marks and blemishes in the canopy. I am really liking it. Now it's not perfect, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. I like it. What I will more than likely do, obviously, like I said, I got to mask that off and do the black there. But I think what I'll also do is go in with a really fine point black Sharpie and just outline the canopy like where the seam would be, so it looks like there's an actual, canopy butted up against the fuselage there. So I'll actually draw in like a black seam all the way around it. And of course the little emblem goes here, and I gotta let that cure for a day or so before I really do anything else with it. But I think it's looking pretty good. I'm happy with it. So I'm tempted to call this video done here, because really all I have left is, oh, well, crap, I forgot about this. I got to figure this out, how to put the laser thing in there and make that smoother. And the one thing I've been dreading is all of those in here somewhere, all of those under wing bombs, these right here. Yeah, that's just going to be a pain in the butt. So I've been putting that off. But all that's left is basically the weapons and final paint, and detail and final assembly. So I think what I'll do is call this one done, and I'll go ahead and put this video out because that canopy took a lot of time. So I'll put this video out. My next video will probably be the Tesla coil or the Jaguar. We'll see which one. I haven't done recently. But the next video on this, will be the final assembly video of getting it all painted and put together. And then I'll probably do one more of just, glamour shots of the completed build, just for those people who want to see the finished thing but don't actually want to see how I made it. So that's the plan. So like I said, I'm going to end this one here, I guess. And until next time, as always, thanks for watching.